the clarification is not what somebody tells you what enlightenment is, what you understand enlightenment to be, and where you see it. The power that we obtain is neutral. That you obtain through the practice of, let's say, mantra or meditation, that power is neutral. And what you do with this power, that's entirely your decision. And this is why also your commitment is so very important, because the intensity or the directness of your commitment is the source of the grace that will also come to you. In the proportion of your commitment, grace will sustain you. Very important to know. So when you think, oh, I can do this, and I have said that many times, and I think going over some of my old dreams, I see a lot of the struggle at that time, and how agonizing this was. But I have never, sure, I have, like anybody else, been thinking, I like to pack and go. But it wasn't dropping my commitment. Now, enlightenment, to my mind, to come really to a more clear-cut answer, is the more you know about yourself. If you really know about yourself, to that proportion you have enlightenment. If you don't really know, the power is neutral in what you do with it. If the ego takes over, then your enlightenment means nothing. Because all the power that you may have acquired, and many people have very strong, powerful personalities, but it is hooked into the ego and hooked into self-will. And this is why I try to get people away from too much self-expression and all this. This is modern stuff of psychology. This is okay for the average person. For those who won't understand light and vocation and don't care to do it. But others, their self-expression should be directed towards the divine. Some of you do embroidery. Some of you may write poetry, maybe I haven't seen it yet, or it may come about. You see, that is a self-expression, where you give the best that you can express to the divine. Now somebody may tell you you don't have enlightenment, but you may be like a stumbling child still, a little toddler, but you're moving towards the divine, and if you keep struggling, even if you get bruised through criticism, through being put down, and you still persist, you do not complain to the divine. You may cry and all that sort of thing, you may find it extremely difficult. Now, enlightenment gives you, of course, more insight, or we'll say just the possibility that you can see, the spiritual possibility in a person, is a duty for anyone, and also among each other here, that you further that in the other person. And within the limitations where you understand. If I can pick somebody up, let me use that term, spiritual baby, and bring that spiritual baby to the Divine Mother, then that's one thing. So I can see at that level there is an understanding of what enlightenment means, really bringing everybody to the divine, or as many as you can to the divine. If you really know yourself, you might not be able to put everything into a perfection, or perfect action, or perfect reaction, whatever you want to call it, to the satisfaction of other people. Because you're not here to please other people, to project an image. That was one of the very sharp borderlines that I came some years across. That I would really not be myself. So if I'm angry, I let people know I'm angry. And I cannot pretend I never feel any anger, because if I don't feel any anger, I don't feel any compassion either. To the degree, any degree of understanding of circumstances is a very important thing. Sure, sometimes I say I wish the Divine would write some letters in the sky. You are not, in any state of enlightenment, you are not, what our Bindu has said, no one is 100% aware 100% of the time. And when I read this, I was greatly relieved. Hours of meditation don't free you of your ego. It is the interaction that I mentioned to you the other day with people. How can you interact with people? Accept or reject, condemn or help, or free and liberate. It is right there. So I think you have to be enlightened about yourself, and enlightenment in that sense is as many levels of enlightenment, of awareness. It's a degree of awareness. The other thing is liberation, the other term is liberation. And if you can liberate yourself, and if you welcome anybody helping you to liberate yourself from your limitations, well, you have already a high degree of understanding or some degree of enlightenment. There's no enlightenment without understanding. But if you immediately shrink back, Now, you may have an instant reaction, which is, let's say, almost mechanical. But you have to give that individual a moment time to overcome that spontaneous, immediate reaction. Because I think you may have found that too. You say, oh, it's terrible. But next moment, no. Everything, even what is terrible, is okay. So it means that you have to accept your reactions to it. But if it's a moment, it's a second, a minute, and if it's very heavy, an hour, but you don't live with it and carry it around. So the time of reflection is so very important. And let me say, you may practice all the Hatha Yoga and all the dancing and all this and all that. If it doesn't settle down at the bottom of the lake of your mind, the lotus bulb will never even make one shoot. Because everybody who is doing gymnastics, ice skating, beautiful things, opera singers, both male and female, why don't they have realization? No, this is a combination of those things. Use the mantra chanting to express your emotions. You cannot and you should not suppress them. But you have to sometimes let go entirely of your intellect, ego, and what have you. You have to say, here I am. You have given me these feelings. I have not handled them right. The visualization of an image is extremely helpful because you can choose both. And if you can move between both worlds, that means where you need an image and the world where the image isn't necessary, you can call it a degree of enlightenment. So you can see all the little coins that you can put in your enlightenment box.